Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with my Trumpology Report for August 2018. And I can't wait to share it with you because this is the month that Mars goes direct. And I'm going to start with Trump's chart. And let me tell you about the celestial events that are going on, and I'll plug them into Trump and I'll plug them into the United States. All right. First of all, as we know, Mars is retrograde. And when Mars is retrograde, nothing happens. It's been retrograde. It is going to go direct on August 27th. And when it does, that's when it's going to start moving forward. It won't move as fast as I just did, but it will move forward. Now, interestingly enough, we have a full moon on August 26th, the day before Mars goes direct. On a full moon, everything comes to a head and goes pop. So that's a very critical time. When I say critical, it doesn't mean terrible. It just means a very important time for us. Mars goes direct in 28.5 of Capricorn. The full moon is in 3 of Pisces, so they're not on top of each other, but they're going on. Now, Mercury is retrograde. So, Mars retrograde, nothing happens. Mercury retrograde, everything's confused. Lots of talking, lots of threats, lots of change. What we do on a retrograde Mercury is tie up the loose ends of unfinished business. And that's really what's going on. All right? Preparing. Now, Mercury will go direct on August 19th. We will be in the shadow of the retrograde until September 2nd, which means we'll feel like Mercury's retrograde. It won't be, but it'll feel like that. And we will be in the shadow of the Mars retrograde until October 8th and 9th. So there may be a little hurry up and wait to this. Let me start with Trump's chart with the sun and the solar eclipse, because that's the first, it's the last eclipse of the summer. August 11th, 18 Leo 42. Look with me right here at the sun, the yellow planet. It's in his 12th house, and on the 2nd of the month, it sits on Pluto. Pluto in the 12th is hidden control. The 12th house deals with our hidden enemies. These can be enemies in our own camp or enemies in another camp, so to speak. The sun lights it up. So it's either total control or transformation, which would be great. On the 19th, the sun sits on Mars, and Mars is war. Mars is passion. Mars is fighting. And we know that Trump loves to fight. So he's going to get really wired, really revved up on the 19th. On the 22nd, the sun crosses his ascendant and moves into his first house, and he comes alive. You might say, well, hadn't he already done that? Well, once a year, it crosses his ascendant. And it's a lot of me, okay? And you might be saying, well, that's how he is, and that's the truth. Well, there'll be more of it. Now, at the very same time, we have this new moon, the solar eclipse, on August 11th. And this is a new start. Remember, on the new moon, energy starts growing. Eclipses are incredibly powerful. This eclipse, I put a blue line here, falls between Pluto and Mars. That means it triggers both of them. It triggers the need to be in total control and to fight. So we'll see how this works out. The full moon is in his 7th house of open enemies, the lower courts. Any kind of partnership, whether it's business or personal. So when we're looking at the 7th house, we're looking at all of his relationships. And I'm going to use my mundane rulerships for this. International affairs, war, lawsuits, lawyers, politics, the lower courts, contracts of all types. And so that's, And these are our open enemies. The seventh house deals with our open enemies. I don't know if Russia is considered an open enemy now or a hidden enemy, but they're both triggered. Mercury. Mercury rules communication, correspondence, and transportation. It is sitting in the 12th house. So a lot of talking going on behind the scenes. Lots of negotiating. But when it's retrograde, it's all talk. Anything you start on a retrograde Mercury either fizzles out or has to be redone within the year. There it is. It goes direct on the 19th of the month, but it sits on Pluto, control or total annihilation and rebirth, from the 16th to the 21st. So he's got this behind the scenes, working with our enemies, hidden enemies. We will not know what's really going on because it's the 12th house. Okay. Venus, a lesser benefic. Venus is love, it's money, it's beauty, it's music, it's art, it's terrific. It's in his second house of money. It sits on, and this brings him money. It sits on his Neptune. Neptune rules his 8th house of other people's money. So he's making money through other people's money, through negotiations with other people. Now, the 8th house is also secrets. And Neptune kind of clouds things and hides them. The 8th house deals with taxes, confusion. Venus is exactly on Neptune on the 12th of the month. Then Venus, the lesser benefic, sits on Jupiter, the greater benefic, which is more money. It too rules the 8th house of secrets, sex, hidden things. And it rules the 5th house of children, speculation, sex, gambling, sex. Oh, I said that already. And it moves into the 3rd house on the 29th so that he's thinking happy thoughts and he's talking more because the sun is going to be on his ascendant on the 22nd, so he's coming to his own. And on the 29th, he'll be loving to communicate. Well, he always loves to communicate, but this is even more so. And lastly, Mars. Mars is in his 6th house of work, health, and service. It's retrograde. So it's backing up into his 5th house of children, speculation, sex, fun, enjoyment. And it goes direct on the 27th when it moves back. After that, it moves back into his 6th house. But he's really throwing himself into all kinds of fun. But Mars is war. Mars is fighting. It's passion. So he may be fighting with his kids, 5th house, or fighting for his kids, 5th house. That's Trump. Okay. Let's look at the United States. And those of you who study astrology know that I use the 7 Gemini 48 ascendant because it works for me. Whatever works for you. Astrology is so wonderful. It's a magical science. Whatever works, use it. Okay, let's look at the United States chart. The sun, the center of our life, is in the 3rd house right now. The 3rd house rules communication, reporters, short distance travel, public opinion, traffic, newspapers, books, communication through the internet, of course, neighborhood matters, schools, teachers, and public transportation. Okay, on the 7th, it moves into the 4th house. And this is the area of home and family, real estate. It deals with the party out of power, which is the Democrats. Deals with domestic affairs, weather, land, builders, crops. I'm thinking tariffs. These are stored crops mainly. Mines and seniors. So these are all, especially the land, with our weather being what it is. The fourth house deals with weather. Hopefully this will appease Mother Nature so that the fires are put out, the floods stop, the tornadoes stop. I mean, our world is really in an upheaval. Now, the solar eclipse, which we've been talking about, on August 11th, sits in the fourth house. It triggers all those things I just talked about, and it's a new moon, so that there is a new start here. And this is, of course, speaking politically, the Democrats, the party out of power. This can help everything ruled by the fourth house. The full moon on the 26th is in the 10th house of the party in power. So that's the Republicans. So you can see we're getting ready for midterms here. The 10th house deals with the president, the presidency, our public image, the United States public image, and leaders, our leaders in general. So this is the full moon. Things come to a head. They pop there. So while Congress is ruled by the 11th house, our leaders in general are ruled by the 10th, and this means that issues with them will come to a head. All right. Mercury. Now, Mercury is retrograde. So it starts off in the fourth house. That very same fourth house I talked about and described. On the 11th, it backs into the third. What do we have on the 11th? The solar eclipse. Okay? So it's a big deal. Home, family, real estate, crops, mines, seniors, domestic affairs. It goes direct on the 19th. And in the third house, we're talking about communication, correspondence, transportation, schools, reporters. Big shout out to reporters. They do a fabulous job. And then it crosses back into the fourth house on the 25th, when real progress can be made. Okay, let's look here now at Venus. Venus is the lesser benefic, and it's lighting up the fifth house. It brings blessings. In the United States chart, Venus is on Saturn. It trines our Mars and trines our moon. So we have a beautiful grand trine from Saturn, Mars, moon, back to Saturn. Venus there helps. Saturn is responsibility. Respond to your ability. The fifth house in the United States chart deals with children. I would love to see Venus help us take our responsibility with all of our children, including those children who were separated from their parents because of deportation, especially the toddlers who cannot speak. They're just learning to speak. They don't know their name. They don't know where they're from. I really, really would love to see our country do something major to unite, to reunite every child with their family, every child. So possibly. Now the fifth house rules children, fun and games, theaters, congressional and public hearings. Saturn rules authority figures. Saturn rules the 10th house of leadership. It rules the 9th house of foreigners and foreign trade, the Supreme Court. And the 8th house of debts, taxes, the treasurer, secrets, all secrets. So that's where Venus is going to be sitting on the 21st in particular. So watch for the 21st, right around that time, maybe the 20th, the 22nd. Let's see what happens. Now, my big concern, as many of you know, has been Mars sitting on our Pluto. Pluto is all or nothing. It is total annihilation and rebirth, or it's either transformation or control. Mars is the warrior. Mars rules gunfire. Mars rules war. And Mars has been sitting there and will continue to sit on Pluto, 1 degree off of Pluto from the 20th till the 31st, maybe even a week ahead. So let's say the 15th till the 30th, the second half of the month. It goes direct on August 27th. Remember, the day after we have the eclipse. Excuse me, the full moon. I misspoke. It wasn't the eclipse, it's the full moon. When Mars goes direct, I am hoping that we're talking about a transformation in our tariff situation. The 9th house, which is where that is, rules the upper courts, foreign travel, higher education, religion, advertising, science, the Supreme Court, philosophy. This is our philosophy of life, world trade. I'm hoping that somebody will come to their senses and we can transform the situation that we are not only in, but preparing to go further in, so that there are no problems with tariffs, with trade, because the economy, the world economy, is what we're talking about. And there's Mars. So that's my Trumpology report for August. Thank you so much, those of you who are astrology students and are so supportive. Thank you very, very much. I hope this is helpful to you. And if you'll just visualize the world in which you live as a loving place, a peaceful place. It only takes a few of us to do that. We did this at my last full moon ceremony. We had a beautiful, powerful group of about 80 people just last week. And we used the love that we all felt to lift our world. So, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.